Hello and welcome to Science Monitor, your favorite weekly news program on science, technology, invention and innovation. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor with you. In today's episode, we will introduce you to India's largest and first of its kind liquid mirror telescope, which will take the country a huge step ahead in the field of astronomy. There's lots more science news coming up, but let's start with the headlines. 10th Scientific Community on Antarctic Research Open Science Conference, India held online. Union Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh in his address stresses the need to build global collaborations to preserve the natural conditions of Antarctica. India's first international liquid mirror telescope installed at Aryabhat Research Institute of Observational Studies. The telescope that will start functioning soon will give India a huge leg up in the field of astronomy. A glimpse into the Swatch Sagar, Surakshit Sagar campaign of the Ministry of Earth Sciences. As part of the celebrations surrounding Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, 75 beaches of the country are being cleaned over 75 days. And the India Antarctic Bill 2022 passed in Parliament. Bill aims at having India's own national measures for protecting the Antarctic environment and its dependent and associated ecosystems. And now the news in detail. The 10th Scientific Community on Antarctic Research Open Science Conference was held recently in virtual mode. Representing India, the conference was addressed by Union Minister of Science and Technology and Earth Sciences, Dr. Jitendra Singh. In his online address, the Union Minister stressed building strong global collaborations to preserve the pristine natural conditions of Antarctica for generations to come. Here is a Science Monitor report on the conference.
It is appropriate to say that the Antarctic region is the refrigerator of the Earth. The snow and glaciers in the region keep the planet's weather system smooth. Over the years, the human intervention has increased and its effects have become visible in this region as well. In view of this, the global community started a coordinated campaign to preserve the environment and ecosystem of Antarctica. India is playing a leading role in these efforts. As part of these efforts, the 10th Scientific Community on Antarctic Research Open Science Conference was organized recently. The Union Minister of Space and Technology and Earth Sciences, Dr. Jitendra Singh, represented India at the conference and addressed it virtually. In his address, the Union Minister appealed for scientific research and logistic endeavors in Antarctica to sustain its pristine conditions for future generations.
Therefore, it's time for the scientific community to talk in unison and work towards common goals of Antarctic heritage and scientific temper. India, being an active member of the Antarctic Treaty System, Committee for Environmental Protection, and Convention on Conservation of Antarctic Marine Living Resources, as well as SCAR, reaffirms its commitment to conserve and preserve the Antarctic continent, including the surrounding ocean, through scientific studies and actions.
Today, due to global warming and climate change, countries and regions across the world are facing extreme weather conditions on a daily basis. This affects not only the world's climate, but also has a huge impact on food production, people's health, and the global economy. India has time and again reiterated its commitment to mitigate and prevent these harmful impacts. India, which has been running a research program in Antarctica for the last 4 decades, has to abide by every regulation of the agreement during this period. The country's commitment to fighting climate change can be seen from the fact that India is looking forward to use renewable alternatives to reduce its carbon footprints, and it has already initiated green energy initiatives.
India is also looking forward to using renewable alternatives to reduce the carbon footprints. India has already initiated green energy initiatives in the country by establishing the world's largest solar plant, the Bhadla Solar Park, with a capacity of 2,245 megawatts installed in Rajasthan, thus reinforcing its commitment towards the sustainability. Ladies and gentlemen, I am sure with the deliberation in the form of mini symposia, plenaries, talks, etc., the scientific community will enrich itself with the discussions of different domains in relation to Antarctic science.
Dr. Jitendra Singh said it was a proud moment for India to host the 10th SERB Open Science Conference, as it coincides with the country's 75th year of independence, which is being celebrated as Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. He reiterated that there is an understanding of conservation in our culture. He pointed out that even today, many old settlements, heritage, and cultures have been preserved in their original form in India. This is the result of an amalgamation of promoting scientific temper and keeping the traditions intact. That is why we strongly believe that every step being taken by India will benefit the entire human race.
Aryabhat Research Institute of Observational Sciences in Nainital is a premier autonomous institute under the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India. The telescopes installed at the institute have helped in the development of astronomy and astrophysics not only in the country but even at the global level. In another first, India's first international liquid mirror telescope has now been installed at the institute. This telescope will help make astronomical research more efficient. Our team visited the center at Aries to learn more about the telescope. Here is a detailed report.
The universe has always been the subject of mankind's curiosity. This curiosity gave birth to the science of astronomy. Attempts to understand and unravel the secrets of the universe are ongoing using the telescope observatories present all across the globe. Let's take you on a tour of one such observatory today. The Aryabhatta Research Institute of Observational Sciences, or ARIES. An autonomous institution under the Department of Science and Technology, is located about 9 kilometers away from the city of Nainital on the Manora Hills of Uttarakhand. Since its inception, the institute has been successfully working to enrich the country in the field of astronomy. After a walk of about 51 kilometers on pleasant, winding paths, we reach the Devsthal Observatory of Aries. And the first sight that greets you when you reach it are the telescopes. These include the 1.3-meter telescope and India's largest 3.6-meter optical telescope. Apart from these two telescopes, the institute now boasts of India's first 4-meter international liquid mirror telescope. The ILMT, prepared with new technology, will help astronomers not only in India but all over the world to explore new dimensions in the study of the universe.
The conventional telescope needs a collecting area, and we normally, for smaller telescope, either can use a lens or a mirror. But the bigger the telescope, these days we can only go into the option of a mirror. So mirror is a reflecting surface, and for that glass turns out to be the best reflecting material. But now to make a very large, glass mirror of the size of 4-meter diameter, it's quite challenging. It's difficult and maintaining, and it also gets degraded with time. So as an alternative, people have just started thinking about, what about mercury? Mercury is a liquid, and if you spread mercury on a surface, then the mercury takes the shape of that particular surface. So you keep that mercury in that bowl, and then you start rotating that bowl. Because normally, because of the gravity, the mercury will tend to go to the center of this bowl and stay there. But once you start rotating, then because of the centrifugal force, this mercury will start spilling to the edges of this bowl, and slowly it will form a very nice, reflecting surface.
The liquid mirror is a modern, more efficient and economical technology among observatory instruments. India, Belgium, Canada, Poland and Uzbekistan are the main countries who have collaborated to set up the ILMT. The funding, estimated to range between Rs 30 to Rs 40 crore, was jointly provided by Canada and Belgium, while the operations and upkeep of this telescope is to be done by India. The liquid telescope is made up of mirrors with the reflective liquid mercury. About 50 liters equaling 700 kgs of mercury filled into a container will be rotated at a fixed, constant speed along the vertical axis of the ILMT. During this process, the mercury spreads as a thin layer in the container, forming a paraboloid-shaped reflecting surface, which then acts as the mirror. Such a surface is ideal to collect and focus light. A 4K into 4K CCD camera has been installed 8 meters above the mirror surface to conduct photometric, astrometric, direct imaging survey.
Columns of the CCD are straight, but the stars don't actually drift in a perfectly straight line. They move in a slight curve because they're going around the North Celestial Pole. And even at the latitude of the ILMT, there's a noticeable amount of curvature. And that would normally blur the images a little bit. And so to correct for that, we have a specially designed optical corrector that goes at the top of the telescope, between the mirror and the detector. And so that corrector is, it has 5 lenses in it that are very carefully made and ground. And each of those lenses is shifted and tilted slightly. And the reason for that, it's done in a special way, is that it straightens out the star trails so that they're perfectly straight and the stars move at the same rate. And that gives us the sharpest possible images. So we have this special corrector designed for the ILMT that's unlike anything that's ever been built before.
The liquid mirror technology has simplified telescopes in many ways. Preparing, transporting and installing the mirrors for a conventional telescope has been a very complex and costly task. But the transportation of mercury requires small storage, but gives the option of creating large mirrors. The 4-meter International Liquid Mirror Telescope is currently being tested. In May 2022, the telescope received light from the galaxy for the first time during testing.
At the moment, we are reducing the data. This is our main activity presently, and we are trying to tune our tools to make that automatic and efficient. And so we are working on that. So we didn't get yet results about final accuracy in astrometry, in photometry. We are working on that. And probably we'll get that information, I would say, before October. Then in October, we will have to work to make some checks on the positions of the corrector, because we know that some improvements can be brought to it, And this will be our main activity. Then during the months between October and January, so I would say until December, we would like to make engineering tests, make many different kinds of tests to see what are the ultimate performance of our instruments and telescope.
In this facility, we are using around 50 liters of mercury, and the mirror is formed, and this is a stationary, this is only zenithal kind of facility, because in other cases you are aware that in other facility you can point your telescope in different directions. However, this is not possible in this case because you are using mercury as since it is liquid. So it only images the sky which is passing over your head, like zenith.
Since ILMT is a project established by an international collaboration, the data obtained from its observations will be made available to the entire astronomical community.
Once we do an image subtraction technique to the data which has been collected with such a telescope, we should be able to detect very many new astrophysical sources with such a telescope. So surveys usually cover a large portion of the sky, and also it is monitoring the sky continuously. And hence we are expecting that around every day when the telescope is operational in collecting the night sky images, it will collect around 10 to 15 gigabytes of data. So eventually over the course of time, we'll accumulate a huge volume of data, and that's where we would also be training and requiring the expertise of the younger generation and the budding researchers to actually use the data from such a telescope.
The astronomical observations established by the Aryabhatta Research Institute of Observational Sciences, or ARIES, have provided important research to the scientific community. Right from the discovery of new objects in the universe to information about the formation of galaxies and the death of stars. With the latest liquid mirror telescope, this Indian observatory is now on the path to uncover many more mysteries of the universe.
The Ministry of Earth Sciences, Government of India is running the Swatch Sagar, Surakshit Sagar campaign from July 5th to September 17th. In this campaign, being held as part of the celebrations under the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, 75 coastal areas across the country are being cleaned for 75 days. Let's take a look at some of the activities organized under this program over the past week. And now let's have a quick look at some other developments that have made news in the field of science and technology in our segment Science Express.
The Indian Antarctic Bill 2022 was passed in Parliament recently. The bill aims to have India's national measures for protecting the Antarctic environment and its dependent and associated ecosystems. The bill was passed in the Lok Sabha on the 22nd of July, after which it was introduced in Rajya Sabha by the Union Minister of Science and Technology and Earth Sciences, Dr. Jitendra Singh. The Union Minister said that this bill is in line with India's accession to the Antarctic Treaty, the Protocol on Environment Protection to the Antarctic Treaty, and the Convention on the Conservation of Antarctic Marine Living Resources. The bill also aims at ensuring demilitarization of the region along with ridding it of mining and illegal activities. It will also ensure that no nuclear tests are conducted in the region. Scientists and researchers from the Institute of Advanced Study in Science and Technology, an autonomous institute of the Department of Science and Technology, have developed a smart biodegradable biopolymer nanocomposite that can detect relative humidity. In this research, a nanocomposite film was created by blending guar gum and alginate with carbon dots, which was then successfully used for the detection of relative humidity. The material can also be used as smart packaging material, especially in the food industry. The nanocomposite film shows changes in fluorescence in the presence of high humidity, which can help in monitoring the freshness of packaged food. This nanocomposite will provide a non-plastic, non-toxic and cost-effective alternative to food packaging. Smart and proactive packaging like this one can help consumers determine the freshness of a product without even opening the packaging. A new scheme has been launched to augment the country's research capabilities in a structured way. The innovative scheme has been brought in by the Science and Engineering Research Board, a statutory body of the Department of Science and Technology. The scheme was launched recently with Dr. S. Chandrasekhar, Secretary, Department of Science and Technology, and other partners and office bearers participating. The objective of this new scheme is to create a robust R&D ecosystem in state and private universities and colleges, including self-financed institutions working within these universities. Speaking on the occasion, Dr. Chandrasekhar said that the new scheme will help bring the university system into mainstream research and enable the young faculty, which till now was mostly confined to teaching, to participate in cutting-edge research. He said the new program, which would also support data-driven social science research, will provide much-needed research opportunities to the faculties of state universities, 45% of which are located in rural areas. Following a new partnership between the Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore and the Indian Navy, the two will now work together in the field of aviation research and development. To launch this partnership, an MOU has been signed to ensure that the Indian Navy moves towards self-reliance in line with the goals laid out by Atmanirbhar Bharat. The Indian Institute of Science and the Indian Navy will work closely in the areas of aerospace or aeronautical engineering, including design and educational technology. The synergy will focus on various areas and needs of aeronautical engineering, including artificial intelligence, data analytics, and machine learning. The initiative is also expected to encourage regular interaction between the faculty members of the Indian Institute of Science and the officers of the Indian Navy.
That is all in today's edition of Science Monitor. Keep sending your feedback and suggestions through email. Our email ID is indiascience@vigyanprasar.gov.in. You can also write into us at Vigyan Prasar, A50, Sector 62, Noida 201309, Uttar Pradesh. So we'll take your leave now. See you again next week. Till then, stay safe and think scientifically. Bye for now.